Abba resorts to name calling and degrading language and resorts to ridicule and mocking, and it does teeter on the emotionally and verbal abusive side, and I hate to put a label on it like that, but that is truly what it felt like. And
Abba from Abba and Preach, 8-week-old baby mama is exposing him for not wanting this child and asking her to get an abortion 3 times. Let's get into it.
hi, my name is Libby, and I was a girlfriend of Abba from Abba and Preach. We were together for 5 months and involved with each other for about 8 months total, but 5 months of that was a serious, committed relationship. I know when someone thinks 5 months, they think what can really happen in 5 months, but I think most would agree the first 5 months of a relationship can feel very intense and be filled with a lot of love. And that means you can feel the opposite of that intensity if things are not aligning or if things are not compatible. I'm going to be talking about a pregnancy in which Abba ultimately walked away from, and I'm going to be talking about the difficulties and the emotionally harmful interactions I've had with Abba. I want to acknowledge something up front, and that is I know exactly who I'm speaking about. I know exactly who Abba is. Abba is articulate. He is persuasive, and he is calculated. Abba is the king of receipts. And anyone who really knows Abba would not willingly put themselves in the position I'm putting myself in right now, unless their experience was significant enough to speak on. I'm not here to cause spectacle. This is all informational, and I'll just leave it up for interpretation.
Why the fuck are you on the internet trying to expose the fact he didn't want a child with you? Y'all, after 4 months, he got you pregnant, right? He got you pregnant. He said, hey, I think it's best that we get an abortion. When the women want the child and the men don't, they shame the men. But if the man wants the child and the woman don't, they praise the woman for making her an heroic decision with her life, her body, her choice. But let's nobody don't want to build a family, even if it's an accident. But if this is true, you should have wrapped up. Any man wrap up so you won't have to make this mistake and you have some random woman in your life coming to make a story about it. This is her first video on her YouTube. A whole expose on a man that didn't want a child with her. And they know how people see that. So let's continue.
I met Abba July of 2025, last year, and it was really fun, and it was really interesting, and it was honestly full of love. 4 months into the relationship, I start to see incompatibilities and inconsistencies that made me question the relationship and started to make me feel doubt. Ironically, as I started to feel those doubts, I found out I was pregnant. I was very nervous, but I knew I wanted to keep the child. I told Abba about the pregnancy, and he was actually very supportive. He was very excited. He always talked about how much he wanted children, and he said he was sure about the pregnancy, and he said that he was always very sure about me. I, however, did not feel sure about Abba. Like I had mentioned, I started to see some core fundamental differences with our values, our lifestyle, and especially how Abba handled things emotionally and how he handled things communicatively. As time goes on, during the pregnancy, I still start to feel even more anxious and more nervous. And I think I start to confuse my anxiousness with being with Abba or moving forward with Abba with my confusion and anxiousness with the pregnancy and if I wanted to continue the pregnancy or not. And terminating the pregnancy was never in the question. It was something I never wanted to do.
You started confusing yourself. You trying to tell us you was confused on how you felt about the situation of being with Abba or having a baby with Abba, but then come back and say, "Oh, well, terminating the pregnancy was never an option." But she's going to speak about how she's counseled 3 to 4 uh, appointments to do exactly that.
But as time kept going in the relationship, I still felt like it was pretty rocky. And I talked to Abba and I said, maybe an abortion is something we should do, even if that isn't what I wanted at all. And Abba was not happy with it. Abba was quite disappointed, and he tried to support the decision as much as he could, but you can tell that he was struggling with it a little bit.
I don't know. It sounds like whatever lifestyle that he was living or had before she showed up, she was trying to attempt to change that. This is why she say their values and things on how they see things in life didn't add up. So when you get to the baby point, you still see that you can't change this man, but you saying he was supportive and he was into what, you know what I'm saying? He was into you, but you couldn't get down with his program. So now when the baby involved, it just seemed like you were mustering up all the issues. You saying, yeah, he's emotionally abusive. What is that? What is that if you have a disagreement or strong opinions about something when you noted the fact that y'all don't align in the same viewpoints and values? Only reason I'm like this because nobody knew this about ABBA. I don't even care for ABBA. I know he beef with Fresh and Fit. Fresh and Fit is about to have a field day with this, but ABBA has to respond as well. You feel me? But what is the point of you come tell the internet that this man didn't want a baby with a woman he met 4 months prior? And yeah, he slipped up, he messed up, but the onus is on you as well. You want to keep the baby, he don't. They gonna shame him. He wants to keep a baby, but you don't. They gonna praise you. So it's like you don't know this man, but you want to keep the seed because your values align with not aborting the child. But why didn't your values align with marry before you carry, so you won't have to be in this particular position?
We make our first appointment for the abortion, and Abbott visits me to be there for me, and we don't go through with it that day. And when he leaves, I make another appointment, and I cancel that one. And I think in total I canceled 3 abortion appointments. And I think, maybe I should give it more time and see if my feelings change. And so I set an appointment for after the trip I had planned to Montreal to visit Abbott. I visit Abbott in Montreal, and we get into our biggest fight. And this was a real turning point for me. And I know it's hard to imagine Abba upset, but he does get there.
And I hate the language. We get into our biggest fight. No, you get into your biggest argument.
And not only does he get there, he goes past the point of the threshold of where anger should stop. Abba resorts to name calling and degrading language, and resorts to ridicule and mocking, and it does teeter on the emotionally and verbal abusive side. And I hate to put a label on it like that, but that is truly what it felt like. And don't take my word for it. I will be posting examples in this video or the next video. After that trip, I realized,
mind you, she been keeping receipts ever since she got pregnant and was feeling off about him. This was going to be her safety blanket with any. This is going to be her safety blanket. She been keeping receipts, been just keeping them. You know what I'm saying? Because at some point I'll have to do this to Abba or Preach or any man that has any type of success or fame. Which is it bad? Not for her. Not for her. It's not bad.
That I always wanted to keep the child, and it was the relationship that needed to be looked at. And so I canceled that last appointment, and I call Abba and I tell him, I'm so sorry for the back and forth, but it was never in my values to terminate the pregnancy. I think I'm anxious about us, and I think it's better if we co-parent. And I was thinking about the kind of environment I would like to raise my child in, and everything like that. So Abba's really upset, and we hang up, and he tells me to get the abortion. And he tells me,
now look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. About 40 different screenshots, audios, screen recordings just to present to us. What the hell we gonna do besides criticize your point or his point? Take your side or take his side. What does this accomplish with a man that you wanna co-parent with potentially in the future? This doesn't set you up for anything great, right? Or pull the Anthony Edwards and, hey, how much is gonna cost for 18 years to pay this child support? Because I told this particular woman I didn't want the child, gave her money to go get rid of the child, and she kept the money. So Anthony Edwards he paid child support for 18 years straight. Just gave the woman 1.7 to $2 million because they had an agreement. Maybe her and Abba and Preach had an agreement that it's not within these text messages. Because now Abba gonna have to respond, right? But let's continue. I don't get it. I don't get it. It's good for entertainment though.
I don't have anything to say, just get the abortion, and I'll wait for the abortion updates. And I said, I will consider keeping you, I will keep you updated. I will consider what you said over the phone about having the abortion. My values were to ultimately not get it. And he said, just so we're clear, if you change your mind for the 10th time, I will not be involved. And then I kind of snap back a little bit and then don't be. And then he blocks me. And he blocks me for an entire day. And I'm so sorry for the construction in the background. I have to make sure to speak loud. Sorry about that. I said, hey, I need to talk to you about the baby. I'm still blocked. And I tell my cousin to message him to unblock me. And he says, hey, I unblocked you for a second to say, stop contacting me. Regardless of what you choose, I will never decide to keep in contact with you. You're not my responsibility. Now don't reach out to me again. And then if you guys are reading this, I'll mention what's going on here in a minute. But I said, why did you block me after you wanted updates? He says, because I don't want updates. Sorry, I wasn't clear, so I'll be clear. I don't want to ever hear from you again. He says, keep it or don't. I don't need updates. If you do this solo, good luck. If you don't keep it, great. And then he blocks me again. And I am so exhausted at this point on how Abba handles conflict and how he...
This is a real question. And I'm not trying to call this woman promiscuous. How do we even know as the public that's his child? How do we even know that she even pregnant? Currently. How do we know? Unless I'm not further in the video yet. So let's see.
Resorts to shutting down and avoidance and stonewalling. And especially at a time that is very critical and sensitive. I just want to show you this. So this kind of will show you an example of Abba's volatility a little bit. I think within the span of 4 months of our relationship, I think I was blocked like 100 times. And I typed in the word block in my search history for my messages. And the first time he blocked me was in August, so in the beginning of August, and I think we met in the middle of July. And this was just 3 weeks after we met. And so then he blocks me again at the end of August, and then a few times in September, and then October and November and December. And anytime that you see the word blocked on my end, I'm just telling him like, hey, can you unblock me? You still have me blocked from Instagram or something. And
so every time he blocked your ass, you found a way to contact him so you can still continue to speak with him. And he was like, okay, cool, I unblocked you. You found different avenues to go get in contact with this man. Is it before or after you got pregnant? Because if it's after, then all right, I understand. I understand that.
That doesn't stop there. I now type in the word blocking, which is different from blocked, but I still have a bunch of where he's like, I'm blocking you here. And I put blocking here because I didn't block him here. I was telling him like, hey, you keep blocking. And yeah, so now I'm blocked and I'm upset. I am 9 weeks pregnant. I'm feeling emotional. I'm hormonal, all these changes. And I don't want to blame it on that specifically because I knew that I was also exhausted from the dynamic of Ab and I. And so this is a blemish on my part.
What is the dynamic though? Is the dynamic that you were just for fun? Y'all just dating and nothing serious, but you wanted something different? And you trying to change this within this man's mindset and framework to take you more serious than what he really is? What is the dynamic? When they do these exposés, they want to speak in code and try to seem as classy as possible, like a politician. If you come in to expose them, lay it all out on the table. But she did say this in part one.
In all of this, but I pretend to send a screenshot of Abba's message saying that he doesn't want to be a part of this anymore. I pretend to send it to Myron Gaines. And I never do it, and I never did do it, but that was just to I was fighting back a little bit. And I never part of this anymore. Send a screenshot of Abba's message saying that he doesn't want to be a part of this anymore. I pretend to send it to Myron screenshot in all of this, but I pretend to send a screenshot of Abba's message saying that he doesn't want to be a part of this anymore. I pretend to send it to Myron Gaines, and I never do it.
Oh yeah, this a dirty bitch. This beware of the fake soft girl feminine woman, bruh. She said she pretend to send a direct message towards Myron Gaines. This nigga's op. This nigga's literal op. She pretend to send a message saying Abba doesn't want to be a part of the kid's life to goddamn Myron Gaines. And you think this woman needs any type of sympathy. And you want to realize, and you wonder why Abba doesn't want a fucking child with this lady. That's the type of games you play. That's the type of mother you would be, and I'm seeing this. So when Abba speak, it's gonna be more than what this woman is saying. Cause I'm seeing the fact, your character. I don't want a child with you. I made a mistake. Abort that motherfucker. Her saying that, it just opens up a little insight in what she really is. It's like, bro, this a demon.
And I never did do it, but that was just to I was fighting back a little bit. But again, I never did it. And I also messaged the Ab and Breach page. And I tell him this. I'm not going to read it, but I'll leave it up here so you guys can view and pause if you'd like. And he just responds, "Hey, blackmailer, stop reaching out." And Abba gets very upset because now Preach sees these messages, and now Preach knows that his girlfriend is pregnant. Now Preach knows Abba's girlfriend is pregnant. And Abba calls me at some point, and this is just another example of how Abba does talk to me when he does get upset. So I don't answer because I'm trying to get something to eat. I'm hungry and I'm sick. I'm in my first trimester, and I don't answer. And he says, "I don't care, bye, blocked. I'm trying to eat. Hey, I was really trying to get something to eat. I haven't eaten." He says, "Parasite, I don't care. Eat, shit, sleep. I want my peace back. I want you gone. So hurry up. You made 9 accounts harassing me, blackmailing." So he's talking.
Most definitely. That's most definitely what you're doing. Because you just said you pretended to text Myron Gaines some shit that will basically, you know what I'm saying, make Abba look bad. You're showing us how many times and how many people that you are contacting to get in contact with Abba so he can unblock you. The only reason he keep unblocking you so you won't say anything personal about him towards them as a message. So he gotta cipher in and cipher out your harassment. This shit wild,
my cousin
dog.
reaching out and sending him messages, and I finally he calls again, and we finally get on a phone call. This is the most brutal phone call, and it does reflect everything that I had mentioned before, that it was verbal.
She even recording the nigga phone calls so she can come back and show us after antagonizing him, after creating all these accounts, after doing everything you said you was gonna do, did, and will do on some blackmailing shit. This all orchestrated, bro. This is why y'all gotta be careful on who you fuck with. And we'll never see it until we see it. Obviously, he's seen something where when she was less than 9 weeks pregnant, she's, hey, go get the abortion. You feel me?
And emotionally abusive and contain a lot of dehumanizing language and degrading language. And I actually have the phone call right here, but I cannot play it because Abba can file legal action against me. And in this phone call, he also says, I will never meet the baby.
And look at it though. Look at it. Look how she was ready with a second phone just to have proof. In the court of law, civil, child support, social dilemmas, opinions, just on a platter for us. And y'all trust the behavior and the words of a woman like that. It's like you. That's like the wolf crying sheep. Goddamn. Man, it's crazy, dog. And he could be and do everything she's saying, but what is the purpose of this? Because the only thing he can do, if it does anything, is bring this particular man down. It ain't gonna help him be a father if that's his kid. It ain't gonna help future relationships to be mended. This shit dumb.
I'll never look at the baby in the face. I will never know its name. And if I do, I will make sure to tell them that their mother was disgusting and horrible. And he says that he will make sure he's never a part of the baby's life. And I know you can't picture Abba saying this, but he does say it. And after that, I never hear from Abba again. 3 days go by, and I am desperate to talk to him. And
apparently,
I contact Preach through Instagram, and Preach doesn't want anything to do with it, which is understandable. And I just kind of leave it alone after that. Week 1 goes by, and I don't hear anything from Abba. Week 2 goes by, I don't hear anything from Abba. And then now we're at week 3. And I know 3 weeks doesn't seem like a long time, but when you're trying to figure out a situation as critical as this one, and you're so desperate to talk to the father of the baby, 3 weeks felt like a very long time. And week 4 comes up, and I now have to make a decision. And I have to make a decision based off what the reality is. The reality is that Abba completely left me for dead. And Abba walked out on the pregnancy, and he is now absent from. Is that Abba completely left me for dead. And Abba walked out on the pregnancy, and he is now absent from this entire thing. And he doesn't want anything to do with the baby, and he doesn't want anything to do with me, and I make the hardest decision I ever had to make. And it was a very painful decision, but I ended up having the abortion. And I grieved very hard. And I was also grieving the relationship with Abba. I knew that I found all of these incompatibilities, but I did still love him a lot. And
you love a nigga a lot after 4 months is wild. Then within the 5th month, y'all started having arguments and things about you keeping a baby. You start doing all this shit, reaching out to him. Now you had to get rid of the baby. He didn't want the motherfucker in the first place. Before it grew, heartbeats, limbs, and all that. Within under weeks, so you found out, hey man, can you get, I think it's best if we do that. You had to make, and it's always I had to make it's always I had to, oh, I got an abortion, I got a miscarriage. It's always that. Didn't this happen to like Walter? The woman said she was pregnant and unfortunately she had a miscarriage or abortion or something. Didn't that it's always the same play. And they come exposed to get more attention. Now she could be telling the truth, but why is it on the internet when the aftermath is you're not gonna be a mother, he not gonna be a father. He asked you to do something that you didn't have to do. When he stopped talking to you for weeks on end, you made a decision on your own just to go ahead and get rid of the child that he didn't want in the first place. Then you do this. So I think anything after this is just clout chasing. I thought she was still pregnant. That would have made more sense.
I was, I was feeling very lost and truly some of my darkest days. And
I'm not even trying to minimize a woman getting an abortion, because no matter what occasion it is, no matter who it is, when a woman starts to, if she was actually pregnant, when a woman starts to grow a seed, another flesh, another a being inside his body, I don't care if you was finessing or whatever, that woman's gonna grow an attachment to that. So that the abortion, if she actually got one and it was actually pregnant, yeah, that could be hard for her. Yeah, she can grieve. Yeah, because the dude don't want her. Now she got to get rid of it. Yeah, I believe that to be true in emotions. But I'm just saying, like, all this other stuff is just like, man.
I think Abba will never get a hold of me again, and he really doesn't care to reach out, but he does. So a week after the abortion, I hear from him on Instagram. And this is what he says. He says, "For me to plan things, I need clarity on a few things, whether you intend to continue the pregnancy and what level of involvement you foresee from me. I should be clear that I still have no plans to co-parent. I'm not messaging to discuss the relationship or here to argue, just the above." And he is messaging me a lot, and it's because I'm not responding to him. And one thing I realized about Abba is Abba thinks a certain way. Abba also likes things done a certain way. And if things are not followed through in the way that he wants, you will see a reaction from him. And, this is one of those times, like, I'm not responding, and he is insulting me, saying I'm doing all these things, and I'm not, doing those things. And I'm like, I'm not getting into this type of communication, but he does lash out. And I thought about the pregnancy, and I thought, Abba never cared about the child. He only cared about, this dream that he had. But that's not really how it works.
He obviously didn't care about the child. He just wanted, he wasn't trying to pressure you into getting it. He said a few times, "Hey, get an abortion." That's it. Then blocked you. 5 weeks go by, then you got the abortion. Obviously he wasn't harassing you about it.
This responsibility, and I didn't do it the way he pictured it, and I can understand that also. But this is so far removed from what he would support on his channel and promote on his channel. And so I said, "I left you alone since I reached out to preach a month ago." And he's saying, like, "No, you're, like, still calling me." And I'm still trying to reach him. I said, "No, I never called you." I said, "I've left you alone since, like, my last contact with preach." I said, "You didn't want anything to do with the baby." I said, "Okay." I said, "I'm not going to engage in this kind of communication, Abba," because he keeps messaging me. And he sends this little okay liar thing. Remember, I said that Abba can act in a way of, like, mocking and ridicule and a little sometimes immature. I said, "And that's what you wanted. You didn't want anything to do with the baby." And to this day, Abba feels extremely justified with leaving the pregnancy. This is one of our last messages. This was about a month ago, and there was a little tension in this conversation, and we were going back and forth a bit. And I said, "You still haven't apologized for abandoning me and our baby." "I only apologize." And he said, because it's your fault. You cut me out of the relationship and the fatherhood." I'm saying, "I have to go now, okay?" And he said, "I have always believed that it was your fault." I said, "It was a responsibility that was both of ours." And I said, "I needed more security from you." And he said that you didn't want the baby. And he's talking about when I was going back and forth from before the Montreal trip. And when I realized, this relationship is probably not sustainable. And this is something I am still healing from, and something I think about often, and I'm still grieving. And I do feel like it was wrong. And I did feel like it was wrong at the time, but after some time passes, I really think that this wasn't the way it should have gone. And I'll be posting more examples of my interaction with Abba and the dynamic and this repetitive cycle I experienced with him. So, yeah, thanks for watching.
More to the story is, ladies and gentlemen, be careful who you have goddamn children with. So they don't have to blame you for getting a goddamn abortion or forcing you to keep a child that you don't want as a woman. Like, just be careful, dog.